What's up, guys? Gut Road Gaming here, back with another video from Transport Fever 2. Today we're looking at my new Southern California Megalomaniac map. Got it going. Got all the yards working pretty much. So, let me show you what it looks like in action. I think you guys are really going to like it. Let's start off here in West Colton. So, if you see right here, it says SPWC Departure Yard. SPWC Yard job. This is just a yard transfer so that freight can connect from one to the other without any buildings. So here we got my yard job, and basically what it does is we have all westbound manifest trains come here, drop off freight, continue westbound. All eastbound manifest trains stop here, drop off freight, and they pull down to this departure yard right here. This yard job goes in between this station and these two, picks up cargo, brings them down to the departure yard for outbound trains, and we have two locals that come in here. We have the Oldlton Local here. It interconnects with the Santa Fe. This is the Santa Fe San Bernardino Yard. So it goes back and forth between here. It also services Ardent Mills. This is a real place right here, and this is an actual job that the old Colton job would service. So it's basically a functional working classification yard. It is not the most cost efficient way to do it, so if you decide to play this map and you're looking to be cost efficient, don't even try to do this. It's just a realistic way to do it. It does cost probably more money than what it makes, but you make a lot of money with the intermodal trains, which I will show here in a bit. Alright, so let's head east on the Southern Pacific. Yuma Subdivision is what this is. This is San Mateo Canyon. Made sure to try to detail. There's a small river wash that runs through here in real life. Been through here many times on the Union Pacific. I actually used to work this Beaumont local. As you can see, we got the Lowe's warehouse. We got the chicken feed right here. So he just came up to drop off freight for both. This takes lumber, this takes grain for the chicken feed. So he's pulling in. What I did is I made basically portals. So it's the end of the line, but it's supposed to represent like how it continues on. So here's the portal for Beaumont and anything east of Beaumont. So you can see here, outputs and inputs, plenty of freight, like it is in real life. We have an input for coal because there's a, I don't know if they do it anymore, but there was a coal train when I was working at the UP that would come down from Yermo, and on the Y would start heading east towards Beaumont. So have that input there. So there's a coal train up and running, which I will show you soon. Now the year is 1988, so it's strictly just the SP at this point. I also branched off and did this just for fun, just to see if we can build up Beaumont a little bit. Alright, let's head back down and let's show you guys the Cajon Pass. So coming through here, we got the Santa Fe San Bernardino Yard. It's a decent sized yard, but it's not very big, so I made a little rendition of that. There's a little engine facility here, and then you have the Palmdale sub, I believe is Palmdale. I think it's called the Pasadena sub, I believe is what it's called for the Santa Fe. We'll show you guys that later. Let's go to the Cajon Pass. So it's double tracked. It is 1988, so it's not triple tracked yet. We got the major freeway systems as well placed down. 15 right here, 215, all that good stuff. Here's our Beaumont coal train coming up. This is Canyon, so it's a siding. The SP is single track with siding. Santa Fe is double track. So we can see here you got the split like in real life. We got the steep track. This is where all the major derailments have happened for the most part. All trains going uphill. Go up track number 1. All trains going down. Go down main track number 2. This is our San Bernardino hauler. As you can see right here, SB hauler. This runs in between Barstow and San Bernardino. So as you can see, we got a pretty empty stack train right here. Typically there's not a whole lot of return freight that go back to, this is a UP train, so it goes to Yermo, but there is a decent amount of freight that comes out of there. So over time these trains should pick up, but that's the reason. You can always add Freestyle Industries to both ends so that they're more loaded, or I should say they're fully loaded, like in real life. So looks like we have this SP train coming to a stop here. So we have a southbound manifest train. Sorry, I'm yawning a bit, it's early. This is the SP Mojave hauler, so this goes in between Taylor Yard, West Colton, and the Mojave Cutoff, which is right here, which I'll show you. So it's basically the manifest train route, or I should say the main one of the Southern Pacific so far that I've made. As you can see, we got a lot of lumber coming down. So we'll keep going. Right here these days you have the Silverwood Cutoff. That is no more, or I should say it doesn't exist at this point. It's for UP trains to come off the BNSF from Yermo and go on to the Mojave sub. Right here we have Highland siding. Then it kind of wraps around, goes into the freeway like in real life, being the 15 freeway. And then we have the SP Mojave sub cut off. So we have freight right here that you can put in or bring out. So pretty neat. Another portal. So we'll kind of follow this train. Here's the summit of the Cone Pass. We got the crossovers. Come down into here. Got the natural crossovers. This is a real thing here. This is the Santa Fe's Cajon sub. Been over this myself many times. Little rendition of it. It's not exactly entirely accurate. The tracks actually kind of go around like this and then back. But because of the terrain, just did it like that. Here we have Victorville Cemex. It's basically a huge cement industry where their mine is actually quite a ways away on the side of a mountain. So this is a rendition of that. So you can run trains out of here, bring down, and then you can interchange with the Santa Fe like in real life. You just got to make sure that you can find a stone input on the Santa Fe end, or you can place one in Barstow or on their portal, so that when this train's running it has somewhere to export it to, or else you won't get any actual stone coming out of there. So now we have kind of the no man's land running through, kind of like it is in real life. We got a Santa Fe stack train westbound, fully loaded, so that's good. Big money right here. Let's look at the details. That's how much it's worth. Footage, tonnage, pretty heavy. So now we're coming into Santa Fe's Barstow Yard. This is, like I said before, it's just smaller renditions of the real thing. Oh, we had something pop up. It's been a while since I've had something pop up, so that's cool. Ah, the siding length of canyon. That's a problem. I thought it was long enough for everything but the coal train. So let's see. Okay, so we got to extend it by a little bit. We'll do it on this end over here. Wow, I really thought we had enough, but I guess not. Let's whip out some tracks. So this is part of it too. It's kind of trial and error depending on train lengths and all that good stuff. Might not be enough. Let's extend it down to here just to be safe. Do it on a curve. 45 is good. Could always do more, but realistically, man, for a turnout here in the cone pass, 45 is pretty much what you would find. Now, the way I do my things is I make them realistic. Not always for making money or make it functional. I make it for being realistic. So, keep that in mind as you watch me play this game, because that's kind of where my priority is at. I'm using a pot signal because the SP uses a lot of these on sidings. Always on the engineer side, pretty much. Maybe some exception, but that seemed to be what they did. So we'll do that. We'll get rid of this. This is just a waypoint signal, so it's just for looks. So we don't want trains to get bunched up on top of each other. We want some separation. Let's check the route. Yep, that's good. Alright, so now we know. Sometimes that stuff happens. So let's jump back over to Barstow. So back here at Barstow, I basically Santa Fe and the SP, what I did is, well, let me drink some water here. Waking up, so a little early. Need to get some fluids in me. Both the SP and the Santa Fe have one major engine facility. It was pretty much like that in Southern California back in the day, so that's kind of how I themed it. So here, the major engine facility is at Barstow, and it still pretty much is for the BNSF for Southern California. So we got the major engine facility, got some refueling racks for some looks, also can make trains out of there. This is the receiving yard. I was going to do the same thing as Westlton, right, and make it functional. I just don't have enough manifest on the Santa Fe yet. So you can see, this is their receiving yard, this is their hump, this is their departure yard, and this is the bowl for all the cars being humped into. Signals, crossovers, all that good stuff. It takes quite a bit of work to get everything working correctly, I must say. It's kind of tough. So we go this way, we got Daggett, this is where the UP cuts off to go to Yermo. And we got the portal for the Santa Fe. You have no issue with having enough freight going west. You got to use a lot of power. So we got the UP coming off right here. Coming into Yermo, I wanted to stretch the yard towards the end of the map so we have room right here for a few trains. So we basically just have half the yard. This is the old yard, this is the new yard. They do have a fueling rack, so that's what this is supposed to show. So, not a whole lot of freight coming out of here, but a decent amount. So, on the UP, you could probably get away with shorter stack trains or running manifest trains. All things I haven't done yet. See how this one's doing. It's doing pretty good. It's powered up. So the whole, let me start over. You start with about $10 billion. Now it seems like it's pretty easy, but in order to get everything going, everything else has got to be going too. You know what I mean? You got to have trains servicing all the different portals, going to the different yards, trains kind of interconnecting with each other. Because I'm running this as basically 3 different railroads, SP, UP, and Santa Fe. So you need a lot of money to get a lot of trains going. So let's come back down to here. We'll take the SP West. We've got the old Oldlton Local coming back out. Let's see what we got here. So I actually got some good loads for the Beaumont Local, or Beaumont Hauler is what I'm calling it. Up the hill they take grain for the chicken feed and lumber for the lows. So that's working out good. So I'll further kind of explain the yard because I kind of brushed over it. Here's the engine facility for Westlton. These days there's a big engine facility right here, but back in the SP there wasn't. It was basically services, light repair, from what I understand. This is the bowl. This trim job is what I call it, is going down the hump. So you could have the train go reverse. That'd be maybe a little bit more realistic, but it is what it is. Looks like we got a lot of freight down here at the moment. That's good. So you got the end of Westlton Yard. This is like Sierra is what this is called. Cedar, those overpasses, and Pepper. That's what they're called in real life. So I tried to create that for the look. Turned out pretty good. So here in Pomona, this is the UP's LA sub. Here in Pomona, they kind of run side by side. Through here to industry. Now they do have some spacing. There's buildings here now, so you can't really see each other too well, but this is how it ran in real life. So another thing I have to do is set up some custom industries and a depot for City of Industry, really for both railroads, because they both got yards here in real life. SP, so you can see, single track with sidings. UP is double tracked the whole way pretty much. Come through here through Rosemont. Down in here, looks like we got the other hauler coming in. I got 2 haulers right now, so 2 manifest trains. Coming into East LA, we got the Y. If you go left, you go down to LA and down into Long Beach, which I'll show you in a bit. Right here we have a SP Local servicing Los Angeles for freight, custom industry, and then we got plastics as well. Looks like we got a stack train coming out of Long Beach. Heading for Beaumont. Alright, so let's go over here. We'll go north and then we'll head south to the port. I want to stick around for the port for sure. This is SP's Taylor Yard. It is no longer here, unfortunately. I believe it's a park now, but built back in the 1920s. This was their main yard for Southern California for 50, 60 years. There used to be a whole lot of freight coming out of LA and the surrounding areas, so this is where they gather it all up and send it out. Going north, south, east, west. So here's the SP's main engine facilities. Right here. Decided to use the brick, give it some age, because the engine shops were very old. I misspelled that. Whoopsie. Tyler Yard. Yeah. There we go. Spell those 2 right. So as you can see, we got a manifest train departing Taylor Yard. So he stopped here to drop freight and pick up. And then on his return westbound, or I should say eastbound since it's going south, it's kind of confusing sometimes on the railroad because there's really, they always refer to you as just east or westbound, even if you're going directly north and south. I mean, the dispatcher will say, hey, SP whatever north, coming over, and knowing your direction where you're currently heading, you can answer to that, but you're technically a east or westbound. So eastbound, just because the direction you're technically or will be going for the train is east when you come into here. So we got two haulers, one that goes to the Palmdale Cutoff, which I'll show you, one that goes to Simi Valley. So they come in here, and depending on their direction, they drop off and pick up freight. And then we have the two haulers that come here, West Colton, and then up to the Mojave Cutoff. So they all kind of work together. They all bring each other freight, and it works really good for like bringing locals and other yards freight to work with. Because eventually some of this freight will get to the Santa Fe. I got a couple locals for the Santa Fe going, and then vice versa. So it's kind of like a network, like it really is in real life. So this train's a shorter manifest train. It is going to Simi Valley. We'll show you that first. So here you have two main lines that split. This is what I call, like I got an accent, I can't talk this morning. So what I call the SP Coastal Sub, and then we have the SP Palmdale Sub. So let's go down the Coastal Sub. Still have all these cities that I need to bring freight to. Just haven't yet. There's a lot of things you can do, as you can tell. Coming out of Northridge here, got a decent little grade that climbs up. And you actually have a pretty long, big tunnel here in real life. Comes out here in Simi Valley, runs down, and then we got the portal here for Simi Valley with a few inputs and outputs. Not as much freight like in real life. This eventually runs up the coast to San Luis Obispo, and then up to San Jose, Oakland, I believe. So, just trying to capture that. If we go this way, we have the Palmdale Cutoff. So through here you have the, I believe it's the 5 freeway that comes across, and then you kind of wind up this canyon. It's a steep grade in real life. Never been this way before. This is for Bakersfield cruise. And then you have the portal for the Palmdale Cutoff. Now this and the Mojave Cutoff in real life, they meet up in the same place, which is Palmdale. They can join, then they run up to Mojave over Tehachapi, then down into Bakersfield. So if you notice, there's more manifest freight on the other one, simply because when they built West Colton, they routed pretty much all the manifest to Colton. There's still some though, because Taylor Yard, I wanted to use it. I don't even think they're using it as a classification yard at this point in the late 80s, but I wanted to use it, so that's why we got some freight coming out of there on the Palmdale side. Typically you just get stack trains coming down, because that's a shorter route for stack trains coming down from Tehachapi to get to Long Beach. As you can see here, we got a lot of freight, 3 different trains, or routes I should say. Does this one actually fit in the yard? It does. What's the length on this? So you could fit about a 3,500 foot manifest train, almost, in Taylor Yard. So we're going to go this way, and we're going to go check out the Santa Fe's Pasadena sub. I don't have anything coming out here yet. Like I said, just trying to get everything else going so that there is freight that will come out this direction. I got Stops for all the towns. I even included the Miller Coors plant, which if you're familiar with this area, that you can see off the 210 just out of Azusa. So make sure to include that. The station drop for that is in the siding right here. Got Azusa, got San Dimas, through Upland like it does. Got Kaiser Steel, so if we can get some coal. The coal comes out of either Yermo or the Mojave. The iron ore comes out of Beaumont from what used to be the Kaiser Steel Railroad, which was out by the Salton Sea, which we don't have on this map. So you can start producing steel. There are places that take steel and inputs for steel. Fontana, and then back to San Bernardino. So go down this way. We got what I call the Hemet hauler, I believe. This is the 215, which runs down to Paris. Like I said, if you're familiar, you'll recognize it. Little siding track for some inputs. Fuel input. This is a real industry. Paris. All over to Hemet. Some agriculture there in Hemet, so I included that. Loaded up with that. And then Hemet. So that's cool. Another thing you can do. That is where we're currently getting all the grain for here, and then the chicken feed up in Beaumont. So that's why it's important that you have everything kind of connected together so that you can share freight, so that you can satisfy industry's needs. So we'll come here. We kind of checked out the UP for the most part, but one thing I wanted to highlight is I have Riverside Cement Co. It's a real place. Little branch line that comes off here from Mariloma. Got a Mariloma Yard. I need to set up some locals here in Mariloma. Just haven't had the time yet. But there's Service the town itself. This needs goods, and Service Ontario out here. So you'll basically what I'll have is a local for all three, and then a local going here and back, and then we'll have a manifest hauler for the UP that will come through here and pick up and drop off cargo so that we can run locals out of here. So that meets up with the SP and runs down. Let's take the Santa Fe, goes down through here, got Corona, a little yard here. There's one in real life, and then there actually used to be a branch line that used to run up through here to Lake Elsinore. So you could always get that going if you want. It no longer exists, but I think even back in '88 it probably still existed. So head down. I believe this is the Santa Ana riverbed bridge. We've got the 90 freeway here. I think this area is called like Yorba Linda, something like that. So it kind of runs on the side of the hills. The hills are a little exaggerated, but I think it looks pretty good. So here, another thing you can do is you have the Santa Fe, San Diego, the route that goes down to San Diego. So it kind of wise off, runs through Anaheim, Santa Ana, down through this valley, sweeps through Dana Point, San Clemente, and then this is where our route ends. You can always put a little portal here, because there's a little bit of freight that comes out of San Diego. A lot of sands in Southern California. So you can always build that. I haven't yet. I will at some point. So as before, the SP goes this way. You have the 60 freeway, the 10 freeway. They all meet up in LA. And then we have the UP come through right here into Commerce. Once again, I need to make a couple yards here for each, because there's yards there in real life. Then we have the Santa Fe and the UP that meet up here in Commerce. And then you have the SP that runs down right here. This is where they all kind of meet to go down to Long Beach. Looks like we got a nice glitch going on. Oh, there we go. Yeah. We got some units DPU'd to this unit. So good thing, you know. Just kidding. That's the only explanation I could come up with. So here we got triple track main line. As you can see, we got the SP coming in and out of here. I made all northbound trains their track right here. All SP southbound trains are here. All SP, UP, and Santa Fe trains are on this track. So it's pretty straightforward and easy to route these trains. And there's not a whole lot of congestion. You can get a lot of trains coming in here without a whole lot of congestion. Here's our manifest train going up the Palmdale sub. So we got a lot of lumber going on. It's good. Most of that lumber will probably be dropped at Taylor. Now the game gets a little slow down here because there's a lot going on, which you're about to see. He's waiting to get into the port. Looks like we got an SP stack train coming into the port as we speak. Alright, so here's the Port of Long Beach. As you can see, it's very hectic. And this takes a lot of strategy and I guess what you can call critical thinking. So what I did is I separated. I do have a major engine facility here. It's not assigned to any railroad. It's just here so we can create trains. We have a intermodal yard and we have a manifest yard. And then here, once again, like Colton, it's just a interconnecting track. So these harbor jobs can bring freight and it can be distributed to the manifest yard as well. So we got a harbor job coming in. I had to make these things massive because there's so much freight. Look at that, 3,700 loads of construction goods. I mean, this train alone is 3,400 feet, 6,100 tons. So I'm using a bunch of old power because that's probably what you'd find back in the day down there pulling out these trains. I think this one's even more impressive. About the same. SP. So we got the old Colton coming out. And we got these face to face. That's the first time that's happened. Let's see here. Let's make this directional. We'll let this guy pass and then we'll switch it back because this is pretty rare. I configured it pretty well. If it happens again, I'll have to think of something else. Back to dough. Some cool SD9s and stuff. Let's see what we got for loads. That's doing better now. At some point, these things will be loaded up pretty good. I could shorten these, but I just leave them most of the time. It's not with the, I mean, look at how much in the green we are. 2 billion because of all the stack trains. So they compensate for maybe the manifest trains that lack. The manifest trains are basically there just to try to grow the cities, grow the industries. They're not money makers, and they're really not money makers in real life either. Which is why you're seeing a lot of manifest stuff go away. Because the big railroads just want to haul the money, which is the intermodal, imports and exports. Alright, so we're back here at the harbor. Port of Long Beach. I only have maybe a third of these industries going so far. Gets a little slow down here. I don't have the best computer in the world, so if you're a true gamer and you got a good PC, it shouldn't be a problem. This accepts any kind of freight to be quote quote exported. This produces goods Made another container facility, construction materials. This takes plastic, but I don't have anything up and running for that yet. This produces lumber. This takes fuel and tools to make steel. This takes goods. Got some older facilities here because it was the 80s. Got our coal export. Typically UP trains come down and do this. So that will be coming out of Yermo. I don't have that going yet. This takes grain to be exported. This takes oil, then produces plastic. And then you have our fuel. Overall, really happy with how the port turned out. I think it turned out pretty good. And you know, you could always add some things or take away some things, customize it yourself. I don't mind. Like if you go over here, there's still some space to add things. I just put these buildings here just for looks. Okay. So now I want to show you, if you want to utilize shipping, this kind of represents China, right? You have imports, exports of different things. Plenty of docks. So you can always import these things as well. Utilize shipping. Okay. This map is huge. Set up an airport here. You could have it fly all the way across the map to San Bernardino, to Barstow, all the way out here. That'd be a great way to utilize planes. So we got boats, we got planes, trucking. Where do you even start with trucking? I mean, trucking would probably be the smarter way to go. For a lot of these towns, delivering freight to them, you could set up a trucking terminal right here, which will then feed off of this, or another one down here too, and then you could just start trucking out to these different cities. So you could have a massive trucking. Obviously have massive railroading. I'm railroad heavy since I was a former Union Pacific conductor. That's just how I like to play this game. But you can really utilize everything to its fullest potential. So we got that coal train loaded up coming down. This siding is called Dyke in real life. There is another siding down here called Slover, but didn't have enough room to include that. You know, this is a pretty realistic scale. I mean, this is the most realistic scale map of Southern California I think you can make if you want to include things like Beaumont Hill, Cajon Pass. You know, like I feel like I gave everything a pretty good amount of allotted space. This is a pretty far run from LA even to Colton. It's not 100% realistic, obviously, but I think it does pretty good. So, yeah, happy with how it turned out. I'm just going to continue growing it. Probably do some live streams in the future. Show you guys the progress as I do it. Really like these SD9s. Forget the name of the guy who made this mod, but you know, big props to you, man. If I knew how to mod this game, I'd be going ham on it, but I've looked it up, I've tried to configure the editor, it doesn't seem to be working. So, I don't know. If there's anybody from Transport Fever 2 listening, a great update would be a much easier modding software, program, whatever you want to call it, built into the game. Because you got to do a bunch of stuff to change the coding to even get the modding editor to work. And when I do it, it doesn't seem to work for me. So, I don't know. So over time, I'm going to add some more detail, you know, with some assets and stuff. Added some cars to the bowl to make it look somewhat realistic. We got a little bit of power here. I need to add some more power down here. And then eventually I'll have some stage departure trains on the tracks that aren't being used. So, all in time though, like I said, unbelievable amount of things that you can do. I'm only doing the railroad stuff, and there's way more to do, right? It's only going to get crazier as these towns get bigger. You know? I mean, like I said, endless. Endless. So, I think I'll cut the video there. Hope you guys enjoy, like always. If you like this video, man, please like it. We put in a lot of hard work for this. This map took forever to make. And, I'm not looking for any donations. The best thing you can do to donate is to just like and subscribe. And to keep following us and do the same. Share it with some friends. We're going to come out with good videos. We kind of took a hiatus for a few months. But now the last few weeks we're back into it. And we're going to try to keep back into it. So, look out for me back on using a train simulator again. Been doing some live streams of that. Typically I do those in the afternoons. Probably do them a couple times a week. Gonna probably get back on the Derail Valley, so you'll see me doing that, and then obviously Transport Fever 2. So just keep an eye out, and yeah, I want to keep going, growing bigger, doing bigger and better stuff in all these games. And your support is much appreciated and will help with that. So anyways, guys, thanks again, and we'll see you next time.